The All Blacks and the All Blacks 15 squads have both been announced for November, and last year I ended up doing a video how I made a combined 15 for these two sides. Now this year I'm changing it up a little bit. I am doing a full 23-man side. The one rule that I've got is I have to have 10 players from the All Blacks 15 squad and 3 or more in the starting 15 for this lineup. And of course, do let me know who your side would be in the comments down below. Without further ado though, we will jump straight in to the starting side. For my front row, I'm going number 1, Ethan de Groot, number 2, Cody Taylor, and number 3, Fletcher Null. I know what you're thinking, pretty boring. No All Blacks 15 players in there, but I'm going stock standard, what we have seen throughout this year. Also, with the fact that Tyrell Lomax is injured, it means that they need a replacement tight head, and if this was an actual squad, I do think that that combination of de Groot and Null has been strong enough that you could put it together. In the starting side, Cody Taylor, he's had a great season. I don't see anyone in that All Blacks 15 side taking his spot. I actually don't see Samisoni Taukei'aho or George Bell from the All Blacks squad taking his spot either. So I'm sticking with the same front row. It's what we might see from Scott Robertson. In the locking duo, I have gone number 4, Scott Barrett, number 5, Fabian Holland. Now, this is where you could make a lot of adjustments. There are many great locks that are available for the All Blacks as well as for the All Blacks 15. Now, there's no Tupavai and there's also no Patrick Tuipulotu, so it does make the options just that little bit lighter. But one thing that I wanted to do with this lineup, and I don't think it's something that everyone would do, is have that familiarity up front. Have the same front row as we have seen already this year, as well as the same locking duo, which gives you a pretty solid set piece right from the get-go. And then the experimentation, of course, is about to set in with the other changes that I've made. In the loose forward trio, I've gone number 6, my first All Blacks 15 player, Devin Flanders. He has had a fantastic season in the Bunnings NPC for Hawke's Bay. He's had 126 carries, 36 lineouts won, so he's actually a very good option in that department, and also a tackling machine. He's made 144 throughout the NPC season. Now, the elephant in the room is he has been playing a lot of number 8 for the Magpies this year, whereas in Super Rugby for the Hurricanes, he predominantly played as a number 6. He does offer you a lot of versatility, and I do think if you have to squeeze 10 All Blacks 15 players into this side, someone with the experience level of Simon Parker isn't going to make a huge difference just at this point for the selection. So for that reason, gone with Devin Flanders as my number 6. Number 7, I am sticking with Ardie Savia. Now, if Scott Barrett wasn't in the starting side, you could say Ardie Savia is your skipper, and even with Scott Barrett in this team, that is what I am doing. Ardie Savia, the captain, in the number 7 jersey, he would have to lead from the front. And the thing is, he's got not a lot of experience around him in this loose forward trio. As number 8, I've gone with Christian Leo Willie. Now, he was in the initial All Black squad as a bit of an injury cover player. He got a couple opportunities up against France, and he didn't really do anything wrong from those matches, but he was one of those guys that did get dropped from the side when we saw the returns of Satiti and also the recovery from Simon Parker. But Christian Leo Willie, I still feel like he's got an international career ahead of him. He had 133 carries throughout the NPC season. He's been strong for Otago, and I just feel like he didn't do enough wrong to lose his spot in the initial squad. So if I was making a combined team and I had that stipulation of quite a few All Blacks 15 players, I would stick Christian Leo Willie in the number 8 jersey. Moving on to the backline, 9 and 10. Now, number 9, I think, is self-explanatory. I've gone with Cam Roigard here. I know that a lot of people would in this scenario. You've also got Cortez Ratama. You've got Finlay Christie from the All Black squad. In terms of those All Blacks 15 players, Kyle Preston, Xavier Rowe, and also Falau Fakatava. But I do think that Cam Roigard currently is the best choice. Just come back from injury, but is an extremely strong player. Always has an impact on the game and would be the perfect player to slot in for that number 9 jersey. Number 10, this is where you've got quite a few options, and I've actually opted to go with a younger choice here. In this department, I've gone with Ruben Love. Now, if you were looking at a young first 5, Josh Jacob could have been a fantastic option. Reves Reihana also from that All Blacks 15 squad, but I have gone with Ruben Love purely for that Hurricanes chemistry between him and also Cam Roigard. I feel like it would be a dangerous duo, something that we haven't seen from Scott Robertson as of yet. So in this really random team that I have put together here, I think it would be a decent combo for the 9 and 10 jerseys. Moving on to the midfield. Now, this is where I had such a tough time deciding because it's that question of what do you do with Jordie Barrett? Because he is a great player, but I've gone with a lot of changes here, and Jordie Barrett's spot was the one that was being debated, I feel, the most in this backline, because of course I had to squeeze in some All Blacks 15 players in there, but I haven't actually done that for the midfield. I've gone with number 12, Quinn Tupaia, number 13, Lester Fainanuku. Now, you could also go with Jordie Barrett 12, Quinn Tupaia as the number 13. It's the combination that we saw in the most recent game up against Australia. Quinn Tupaia having a man-of-the-match performance from that game. Jordie Barrett, he has had some very solid moments throughout this year, and I know any time that I take him out of a lineup, people do crucify me for it. But in this case, I've gone with the Tupaia and Fainanuku combo. I like what they would do together in that midfield. And also with my back three, I feel like it would make it even more dangerous with the players that have been selected. So moving on to that back three, I've got a couple men from the All Blacks 15 squad. Number 11, Caleb Tangitau. People felt he was a little bit unlucky to miss out on the main All Black squad. He is a very talented youngster. He did show it off time and time again on the Sevens circuit. He had a great start to the Highlanders Super Rugby Pacific season up until his injury. But as soon as he's come back, he has still looked very strong. Been playing for Auckland and the Bunnings ZBC. They haven't had their most consistent season, but he's been pretty consistent out on the wing. So I would give him the chance, number 11. In the squad, it does mean that Caleb Clark as well as Leroy Carter actually do miss out. Now, I don't think if there was ever going to be a real match involving both of these squads combined together, we would see those two missing out. I think that one of those two would start as the 11, but I might as well just move straight on to 14, where I've gone with Che Fiaki as that option. He is another guy that quite a few people wanted to see in that All Black squad at some point in time. Now, he's still very young, so the potential of him making it in is extremely high. He is very solid under the high ball, which could add a lot to this back three for the New Zealanders, definitely with that speed and ability out on the other wing from Caleb Tangitau. He also offers you that very long boot. So that is where maybe my decision to take Jordie Barrett out was factored a bit because of the fact that Fiaki can actually take those long kicks instead. But it would be very interesting to see how these two go out on the wing together, and more than likely we will actually see that for the All Blacks 15 in one of their matches that are coming up in November. And then number 15 to close out the starting lineup, I have selected Will Jordan. No surprise there. Would be very strong alongside a couple Crusaders teammates in the back line, as well as just that pure ability that Will Jordan brings out there on the rugby field. But that is my starting lineup. I have got 4 All Blacks 15 players, which means I still need 6 off the bench. So we will jump into the front row. Number 16, Samisoni Taukei'aho. Not making a change here. I do feel he's been a phenomenal impact player off the bench for the All Blacks in the Rugby Championship. Number 17, this is where I've gone with Xavier Numia from the All Blacks 15, and number 18, Pasilio Tosi. So the 2 Hurricanes props off of the bench alongside that power game of Taukei'aho. Honestly, I think it could be pretty strong. Numia, he was unlucky last year when he ended up with an injury at the worst possible time. Stopped any chance of him making it into the All Blacks. But if he plays well for the All Blacks 15 and then any sort of injury in the propping department does happen for New Zealand, which, let's be honest, there's a high chance. We've already seen Lomax as well as Ollie Norris go out with injuries. Tamaiti Williams, he had one earlier on in the year. The group got concussed. There aren't actually that many players who haven't dealt with an injury in the propping department. So Xavier Numia could certainly find himself and at the All Black squad. Moving on to the rest of the forwards, I've gone with Naitoa Akui as my number 19. He won 38 lineouts throughout the Bunnings NBC. He just has something special about him. Now, you could have looked at an Isaiah Walker-Leawiri or a Josh Berry from that All Blacks 15 squad. From the main All Blacks team, you could have looked at Sam Derry or a Josh Lord. But I wanted to squeeze in one more All Blacks 15 player, and Naitoa Akui, another man that's been right on the fringe of getting into the All Blacks. He has been training with the squad at times throughout 2025, so he wouldn't look out of place in this lineup. Off of the bench, number 20, this is where I've gone with Wallace Satiti. Now, he could have been in the starting side, but the reason I've played him off the bench is because of that versatility. Can really slot into anywhere in the loose forward trio. Also can just up that tempo so much when we get to the later stages of a contest. So Satiti off the bench, I think, is an extremely dangerous option. Number 21, Kyle Preston. We got to see a glimpse of that man for the All Blacks, and then he disappeared back out of the squad into the NPC, where he did look just as strong for the Lions. But I do think that at some stage in the future, for Kyle Preston, he will get consistent minutes for the All Blacks, whether or not that is once Finlay Christie is out of the picture. There were rumors that he may be going overseas, although now that he's back in the All Blacks, I'm not sure if that is still a reality. We've got a youngster in Dylan Pledger who didn't even make it into the All Blacks 15, who could certainly make an impact in the future too. But Kyle Preston, I think he's a strong enough player that if this was ever a lineup and you gave him the chance off the bench, could be extremely strong for the side as well. Number 22, this is where I did put Josh Jacob. I feel like from his Bunnings NPC form, it would be very hard to leave this man out. He's at 133 points scored, 148 carries, 14 clean breaks, and then also 883 meters carried, more than any player in the NPC. He's been extremely strong for Taranaki. And in the game for the Barbarians up against the Springboks, he maybe didn't have his best performance, but I do think mixing him into a side like this, where there's that familiarity with his teammates, could do extremely well in that department. And then number 23, player who I am putting here mainly based off form from the Bunnings NPC, as well as a little bit of versatility. I've actually gone with Braden Ennor in the number 23 jersey. Now, he has had some brilliant defense throughout the Bunnings NPC in that Canterbury match of the Ramphilly Shield. He was absolutely phenomenal just out from his goal line. He can cover the 13 jersey for Whainā Nuku. He can play out on the wings if needed, and he just is a great player to have later on in the contest. A couple years ago, I don't think many people were sold on him, but currently when you look through New Zealand's 13 options, he's probably sitting there in the top 5, if not even close to top 3 at the moment for a lot of people. So for that reason, I've got him as the number 23 and at my side. But nonetheless, that is my 23-man side, combining the All Blacks and the All Blacks 15. Now, anyone who's been keeping track will know that I have only got 9 players from the All Blacks 15 in my side. I mentioned how the minimum is 10, but I just couldn't decide who else to put in. I know that there's a couple little switches that I could make, but that is where I wanted to ask you guys, out of this lineup, who would you change? The one player that you would bring in from the All Blacks 15 and give the opportunity to in this type of match. But of course, also let me know your own All Blacks and All Blacks 15 combined sides. Remember to have that minimum. Of course, you know, you could go with 9, just like I did, because I guess I kind of broke the rules too. But you also have to have at least 3 in the starting lineup, so you can't just stack your bench completely of All Blacks 15 players. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.